Welcome to Two Therapists Talking. The hope for this podcast is to talk about important issues related to couples and individuals who are struggling in their lives with many different issues. I'm David Thompson, a marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Sherry Christensen, marriage and family therapist. Please join us as we explore these issues together, and we hope you will learn and be enlightened along the way. Come find us at twotherapisttalking.com. If you like what you're hearing, please get on and rate us and subscribe to the podcast.
Hi, and welcome back to Two Therapists Talking. I'm David.
And I'm Sherry.
We want to talk today about something that has had a big impact on my life personally, and that is the law of attraction and abundance, and how this...
Let's talk about something fun.
Something fun. A couple of funny stories with this. So I don't know if they're funny or not, but so when I was in college, Ford came out with the concept of an all aluminum truck. Now this was kind of groundbreaking, right? Because everything is still up to that point and it can rust, and you can put magnets on it and bumper stickers or whatever. And they brought their new trucks around the country, and they had a little, almost like a presentation in an area local. And so I went to it, and they let you sit in the truck. And this was a big thing for me. I'd never bought a vehicle before, like purchased, and well, not new.
I know where this story is going. And
you know where it's going?
Yep, smiling so big over here.
So they had keychains that said F-150, and it was aluminum for like the frame that they're making these trucks out of. And I got this keychain, and I have a picture. My wife took a picture of me sitting in this truck, and I looked so happy. And I was like, someday, right? And
well, you got to finish the sentence. Someday
I will have this model or newer. But that seemed really far away because these are expensive trucks, right? And I have now, this was 2015 they came out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's, 2022 now? And I have bought and sold 3 F-150s that were this all aluminum, newer version. And I didn't even think about it. And a little while ago, I was going through some of my old stuff, and I found this aluminum keychain that had F-150 on it. And I thought that was such a big deal then. Mm-hmm. But I wanted it, and I believed I could have it, even if I didn't know how. And that's kind of the basis for this law of attraction.
Right.
You don't need to know how something will come into your life. You just believe that it can. Let the how take care of itself. One more funny story.
Okay.
If my wife hears me editing this, it'll be really good. So we have her sister and husband like to go on cruises, and they're always inviting us. And we didn't have any money. This is like, starving student, trying to get a job out of graduate school, having to commute, not getting paid very much. And they would always invite us to do these cruises, and we just didn't have the money. Finally, they convinced us because it was only a deposit, and we would have some time to save up, even though we didn't know how we were going to save up for this. It wasn't in the budget. But we paid the deposit, and we were on board. But we started to get into this law of attraction, and my wife said, we're going to make it happen. And she found a contest where if you do this program, I can't remember the name of the program now, if you eat healthy and lose weight, and it wasn't even like a weight loss competition, just sort of overall best story, whatever thing, then you could win. Grand prize winner was $5,000, which would about cover the cruise and then some spending money and hotels and plane and everything. So she said, I'm going to win this. And that was it. And she was dead set, I'm going to win this. And we, believe it or not, so this is months and months and months, and we had gone to her sister's house to talk about the cruise. We were getting closer to the time of going. And we were in the car when she got an email in front of their house. And we pulled it up, and she was the grand prize winner. And she won the $5,000, which paid for the cruise. And of course, we go inside, we're like, guess what? And they're like, oh, we knew it. She was certain that she would. And I think she's better at this than I am. And so a couple of fun examples of if you believe you can have something and that something is important to you, you can.
Right.
And I've done a lot of talking now, but
Yeah. No, I love those stories.
so what is it? What is the law of attraction? Why is it important? Why does it matter?
Well, I think you kind of explained some of that, right? It's that belief that you can have something in your life. You don't have to have the whys and the hows and all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted
Yeah.
to know what it is. But it's that choice to kind of how I see it is there's an energy around that. Like you're opening the door, you're opening this space in your life for this thing to flow in
Yeah.
because you are choosing that, right? There's so much power to choice and to deciding that something is what you want and you're going to have this something in your life.
That is what it is. And when I'm talking to clients about this, I think the best part is the easiest part because a lot of times, you can imagine something that you want or something that you want to be like, but you always get hung up in seeing how it's going to happen or how you're going to get there. So you may see where you want to be, but how are you going to get there? Well, the beautiful thing is you don't need to see how you're going to get there. You just have to stay true to you believe it can happen and you want it.
Right.
Because the doubt, the fear, the pessimism will get you every time. And I think a lot of it is in missed opportunities. At least from my experience, opportunities show up and that becomes at least one how. And I believe there's like a million different hows. There really are.
Right.
But opportunities show up and because you're not in that frame of mind, you miss them. You don't see them.
Right. And that can happen if you have decided you want something but aren't open, like you've decided this is exactly the path that I'm going to take, right? So I think you can have that missed opportunity if you haven't decided or if you haven't opened the door to that, but also if you have and you have this straight shot, this is exactly all, 800 steps to getting that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love talking about this and I love this subject. Like Sherry said, it really is an energy. And like attracts like. And
Right.
you may have seen, something that helped me early on understand this really good. There was a movie. A lot of you have probably seen this called The Secret. And so I don't know where it came from. It was really popular probably, I'm going to guess 15 years ago or something.
Don't look at me. I haven't seen it. No,
My
I'm
math
like,
could be
there we
way
go.
off. I think it might even be on YouTube now or something. But the whole thing is about the law of attraction, and it's kind of Hollywoody and almost
yeah.
over the top. But the principle was really neat and really cool. And that's when we together really started thinking a lot about this. And the interesting thing is when you're focused on this, your motivation changes.
Right.
And when there's setbacks, you're like, well, it's not going to be that. Ooh, I wonder what it is going to be.
Right.
And it's not debilitating. It doesn't feel like all doors are now closed and your expectations are dashed and there's no hope. It's kind of like, oh, interesting. I thought maybe that's how, but I don't need to know how.
It'll be something
And
else.
It'll be something else. And it's pretty neat to see this happen.
Yeah.
I mean, those are just a few stories. I have a lot of stories about this, but the one consistent is that you believe and you hold to that belief even when you don't see everything falling into place. But this is tied so closely to perspective. And we've actually done
Yes.
podcast episodes on perspective and the power of perspective
Yeah.
and the impact on our happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just thinking about the research that they show that when you like plan for something or whatever, that the anticipation factor can actually
Yeah.
be stronger than the actual sensations that you have during whatever it is that you have been so excited and planning for this whole time, right? And so if you think about that in terms of the law of attraction and deciding things are going to happen, for you in your life, it's that kind of a thing, right? You've got all of this time that the energy flow in your life and the perspective is this different experience than what you were having before. And it builds and builds, and you have that positivity around, well, yeah, that thing's going to happen. It's totally going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's almost like it can. I mean, so the principle, you will find what you're looking for.
Yes.
And in a way, that's what the law of attraction is. You will find what you're looking for. And you can have anything you want if you want it bad enough. Mm-hmm. We just need to be careful what we want. And
Right.
I think our default isn't as good as we hope it is. So if we let life determine like what's going to happen, it won't be what we want.
Yeah. It's
And
that
so-
power of choice that we talk about a lot.
Yep.
Like choosing what you want in your life, choosing your life instead of just allowing things to kind of float by. And so I think part of that, when you're talking about default, right, is understanding that it can take a lot of work to go through and figure out what's holding you back.
Yes. What is holding us back?
I think a lot of times what holds us back are our core beliefs, or especially intergenerational or inherited beliefs, because a lot of times we don't even have any
Yes.
idea that those things are there because they've been ingrained in us as, first of all, it's in our DNA, right? And also as we interact with our family, all growing up, we're getting those belief messages like consistently shared with us, oftentimes not even in words. And so I think sometimes as we're trying to increase abundance in our life is to look at what types of things are holding us back, what types of belief systems are in place, intergenerational, inherited beliefs that we might
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that are affecting us.
I think a really good example of this is money.
Right.
So you probably heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And the whole idea was he kind of had two dads and they had two different beliefs. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us come from probably a very conservative sort of Christian background, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
where it's like not good to have a lot of money. Not that you don't want to have a lot of money, but it feels like it's not a good thing if you do, and you shouldn't be seeking for it. Almost like it's associated with,
Right.
you're a bad person or you're evil or wicked or something.
Prideful.
Yeah,
or-
proud. You're not penitent. You're not humble.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, we talk about intergenerational beliefs that are inherited around prosperity. And
Right.
it's a bad thing. And it maybe even indicates that they were dishonest or that they were, they obtained it some other way than honestly.
Yeah.
And took advantage or something. And so if your parents and grandparents have this belief and that, you work really hard up until the time you die and, you're lucky to put food on the table and
Right.
have
You
a
don't
roof
make
over
it
your head,
super far, but we're grateful for what we have. Yeah.
that's going to hold you back.
Right. And I think a lot of us are going to have that too, because a couple generations ago, we were in the Great Depression, right? My grandparents were in the Great Depression, and there's, very much that mindset of we don't have anything. You have to hold on to everything, and you don't spend anything, you don't do anything, you don't go anywhere because it's just going to disappear, right?
Yep.
So those kinds of thoughts and beliefs,
And that's financial. What about
right?
mental or emotional? What about around ideas of emotions or God or you name it?
Right. Yeah. I can tell you one about myself in kind of shifting my thinking about God and about life. I very much grew up, and I didn't even realize it until, I don't know, like maybe 10 years ago, maybe less. Very much grew up with this concept that life was going to be hard until you die, and then things are
yep.
good after that, right? So if I
Not
was
in this
to,
life.
yes, so kind of the visual that I had was kind of doing one of those, endurance races where you're going through all the mud and you're doing all the things, and I could kind of see myself like army crawling through this deep, thick mud, right? And that God is kind of like above me. He's always there, always present, always cheering me on, always so excited for all the progress I'm making. But I'm like army crawling through this mud by myself, and it's really hard. And it's like, okay, this is, life. And I realized that that was an intergenerational pattern. And that was not actually what I had come to believe about God. And the visual that I sort of developed as I shifted gears was of God and I walking down a path of life together, holding hands, chatting, like having a grand old time. And sometimes there's, knee deep mud that we're walking through, but we're doing it together, and we're having, and when you do, when you do something with someone, and then everything becomes funny, and you're just chatting, and you're just having a really good connecting, bonding time. And sometimes you have to stop and wait, and sometimes somebody gets something stuck in their foot and you got to stop for a second and help each other get it out. But it's this completely different life experience, and it's enjoyable and it's fun. And there's, even when it's hard, because you have someone there with you. And that sort of, for me, was a big, huge shift for me mentally into this space of abundance where I have this relationship with God. I'm not alone in life. I'm with God, and we're having this grand old time on this adventure called life, even if things are not fun in any particular moment.
Yeah. How did that shift your perspective on how you feel and being happy?
I think it completely shifts it, because I feel more connected, and I feel like God's got me no matter what happens. It's like, oh yeah, everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine because he's there, and it's going to be fine now through anything that happens, instead of it being so hard I can barely function and I'm barely holding it together on my own. And hopefully when I die, things will get better, right?
It sounds so sad, right? Hopefully when I die.
Yeah, not hopefully. I mean, I really believed that.
Yeah,
like everything's going to be good
well, I'm sure
when
a lot
I die,
of people
right?
relate. Yeah, for sure.
But why does it have to be miserable now? Is sort of the idea that I had come to. Like, wait a minute, why would it have to be miserable until I die? Like, why can't it be this wonderful, fun, grand adventure now, and with him, with me, or with God with me?
Yeah, I like that. And we, I think, attribute a lot to God if our lives aren't very good, at least by our own definition. I don't have what I want. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not enjoying the things I want to be enjoying, or I haven't been as successful, without attributing our own beliefs or lack of into the equation of why we are where we are.
Right.
Kind of like God just loves other people a lot more because they seem to be doing really well and they have these great charmed lives and kind of just sort of seem to coast. Now, everybody has issues, but
Right.
Some people certainly seem to do better.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just God favoring them in some way without considering the impact of our beliefs,
the energy that you're putting out.
Yeah, our energy. I mean, if like attracts like and our energy isn't very good, we're going to continue to get not very good.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Right.
So
right.
if we want to develop
Attract
a better like a better energy and law of attraction, and we want to attract the things that we want, how do we do that?
Well, after we're kind of looking into those beliefs, or that's part of the process, is looking at those beliefs, shifting those, making different choices about what you want to believe and how you want to move forward. Gratitude is another one that kind of helps keep us in that space.
I kind of believe gratitude is probably the most important one, or at least it's felt that way for me.
Right.
There's just something about gratitude that you are in a good space and you are in good energy if you are thankful for where you're at.
Yeah, gratitude is huge, I think, with just about anything, but certainly in
Yeah.
these spaces of perspective, happiness, and abundance.
Yep. And so I, I have this concept: you decide and then you don't decide again. This idea that we make it so much harder on ourselves if every time something gets hard, or let's say I want to improve this law of attraction, and so I have dailies to help me to be consistent. And a daily is just anything that you do every day. Some are negative dailies, some are positive dailies. We have a whole podcast episode on dailies, and so you're
Right.
certainly welcome to go listen to that. But affirmations,
Right.
positive statements about us, but they can be about anything about us. They can be about our future. They can be about how we want to be.
Right.
You know, I have the core ones that you've heard before. I am a son of God. My worth is 100%. I am lovable as I am. But there's a lot of really good ones.
Right.
Whether you're struggling with betrayal or addiction or you name it, these affirmations are very powerful. And that's part of your dailies. So you're consistently doing that. Gratitude journal can be part of your dailies. Mindfulness and meditation,
Right.
which we've talked
A lot about.
lot about.
We will talk a lot more about, I'm sure.
mindfulness is just, I love it. It's so fascinating. And incorporating that into a daily routine, the power that that has.
Right. But also with like meditation and mindfulness, adding like another nuance that would be like visualization, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a longer version of an affirmation where you're really visualizing, I'm going to own this truck, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to do these things, you know?
Yeah, and that's big in the law of attraction is I'm sitting in it. I'm smelling it. I'm driving in the mountains with the windows rolled down. My family's in there. We're having a great time.
Yes.
And I'm really experiencing that moment. And I think the more we do that and the more real it becomes, it's almost like this vacuum. It's almost like it can't not happen for us.
Right.
And so absolutely, we call this, or at least I call this, forecasting, where you're
Right.
looking ahead and visualizing, but really being in the moment. And this has a lot of healthy application to overcoming trauma and different things as well.
Right.
Imagining taking care of you in moments where you needed somebody. So just the visualizing, the imagery is so powerful.
And when you're doing that, you know, they've even done studies on this type of thing, and it is actually as effective as, like, so for example, they have like professional athletes or musicians.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting in that space where you are that good at visualizing to the you know, degree that you're in that moment and smelling and feeling, you know, and all of that, it's as effective or more effective
Yeah.
than the practice that you will do.
Yep.
And I think that's really, you know, that's important. And so if we can kind of take those studies and go, look, if that's that effective for them, how effective is this going to be on my life
Yeah.
to really be in these spaces and really be seeing life that, you know, in this way. And I have a story about that. A friend of mine went through a divorce, and after the divorce, she sat down and wrote this, like, the pie in the sky limit, or, you know, guy that she wanted.
Best case scenario.
Best case scenario, like down to like things that like really don't matter, like the color of his hair. Like she just really wanted someone with red hair, right? And it just, I mean, putting out everything she could think of, right? And 6 months later, this guy walks into her life. She goes on this date with this guy, and he's like literally like every single thing, like had the hair color, everything, which she actually didn't know before she went on the date with him, what color his hair
wow.
was. So like literally everything, and you know, and they're together and they're doing really well. But it's just, you know, it's she's like, whoa, where did I put that pen? I could have made millions with that pen. Here, write your list with this pen.
Yeah.
But you know, that's not what it is, right? It's that attraction. It's that law of attraction, law of abundance, of this is what I've decided that I'm going to have, these things.
And the cool thing about this, the hard work to get it is to maintain the belief in it.
Yes.
It's not like a different kind of hard work where you think, oh, I really want to be a world famous surgeon and make a lot of money, and the hard work to get there is going to be like some serious hard work and school and residency and everything else. No, there is work that you put into this, but the work is maintaining the energy and maintaining the belief.
Right.
And so it pays off tremendously because you imagine dailies every single day, consistently, affirmations, mindfulness, forecasting, visualizing, imagining, gratitude journal. You're receiving a lot of dividends along the way.
Yeah.
And that's not even, having arrived necessarily where you want to be. It just feels better.
Right. Yeah. And a vision board is another way to do that. Goal poster, vision board, something along those lines where you have visual images that you kind of cut out, you decide, you put on there, this is kind of what I want, this is what I'm going for. And those things are just consistently on your mind, and, you put that up in a place where you can see it.
Yep.
So it's interesting because it is a lot of work. And for example, if you did have up on your board, you're going to be a world-class brain surgeon, right? There is work that goes into that, but there's also this other separate type of work that keeping that mental clarity around that and not allowing doubts or, well, maybe it won't be da-da-da-da-da.
So I think what usually hangs us up is we want to see how. So we want to see,
Yes.
how do I get from here to there? And one of my favorite phrases is, the how is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. There are literally so many ways to get from where we are to where we want to be that to try to figure it out limits you. And even if you made a list as long as you could think of, it would still limit you. So don't worry about the how. Stay focused and really feel that place and that happiness and that connection and togetherness and whatever it is for you. And it is very powerful.
Yeah.
We know really intention and energy, it's all connected. We've talked about that.
Many times, yeah.
So hopefully this was helpful. We wanted to talk about abundance and the law of attraction, and we talk about it a lot, and it's in other podcast episodes, but never on its own. And I just really wanted to, so we did. It's good.
He's been thinking about this and his law of attraction. We will do an episode
See, we did
of this and look what happened.
Yep, it works. It's true.
So we're excited for you to consider in your life what things you want in your life that aren't currently there, and looking at what things might be holding you back, what belief systems might be holding you back, and then implementing some of these consistent daily things, gratitudes, affirmations, visualizations, mindfulness, vision boards, things that can help you get to that place and just see how your life changes.
And it will pay off. It'll be helpful. It really will. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
All but guarantee it. In fact, I can guarantee it, so I hope you do it. Thank you for joining us on this episode. We hope it was helpful.
We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Two Therapists Talking. We look forward to sharing more conversations with you. Connect with us at twotherapisttalking.com or email podcast@twotherapisttalking.com. If you like what you're hearing, please get on and rate us and subscribe to the podcast.